Good morning, guys. How are we all doing? So I'm Dan from Trading with Dan, and this is our Bitcoin morning update. So if you guys wouldn't mind smashing that like button, and we shall go straight over to those Bitcoin 4-hour charts. So yeah, Bitcoin on the 4-hour, as you can see, we couldn't get above this 60k round number target resistance level that we actually came and tested twice. So came back down, lost this horizontal support. Again, obviously the first time we managed to bounce and get brought back up, but the second time we lost it. Well, actually the third, I mean, we came down and tested it more sternly here, but yeah, we've come down and we came basically down to the next level, which was the 55k, so that was obviously good to see, and that level bounced price quite nicely, but we are currently sitting around that 55,000 level. So obviously the market is going to have to decide, do we bounce from here, make our way back towards this resistance, or do we lose this 55k level on a 4-hour closing basis? At which point we'll be looking down to the next level, which we will just extend this along so we can obviously see where that is. But yeah, so the next level down to that around 52k region is obviously a target if we see more weakness in this market. And then also we have got our trend line drawn in here, which depending obviously at what point in time we come down here, we could be nearer to 51k, even a 50k handle, or it could coincide with this horizontal here. So yeah, market's got some decisions to make. But realistically though, as you can see, we're in the middle of a wider range, in the middle of a channel, and basically just oscillating around the midpoint realistically of those levels. So yeah, just basically sideways for a prolonged period Bitcoin has now been in, which is potentially why alts have been having such a good time, because obviously that is the environment that alts thrive in. So are we going to see more sideways for Bitcoin? Quite possibly, because even if we do come down low, we'd expect bounces, and before we were ever to take out any of these major levels and test some real downside. And similar to the upside, if we would start to make progress to the upside, we wouldn't expect a catapult moonshot straight onwards and upwards into 80k's or anything like that. I'm potentially expecting this channel to play out for a bit longer, and then we'll either lose the bottom side or lose the top side, and then make a nice aggressive trending move in that direction. Ethereum, Bitcoin, if we go and have a look at how that is doing, obviously with the weakness had a bit of a pullback, but still looking good again, looking strong, getting bought up. This is one of the particularly good charts in crypto at the moment. You can see we're sort of forming that J hook. So I mean, are we going to get that acceleration up into this first target of around 0.087? Are we going to get that? Is that going to coincide with potentially a USD price of around 5k? Have we got more juice in this tank, and then do we test some more downside after that? I mean, I will just point out how crazy these levels are. I mean, honestly, you can't make this up. I mean, we had the target, we came and basically hit the target pretty much to the dollar, and then came all the way back down to the horizontal level, literally almost to the dollar, and then bounced off that. As you can see, we are above the halfway point of this, so that is normally an indication that we are then going to come back to the high and then continue upwards. When you get pinned below the midway point of a move, that's when usually you then come back down and take out the low. So as at the present, this is obviously looking on the bullish side. I mean, the trend is clearly bullish. Potentially, you like, this is not what you would what would signify a top of a move, but it could signify sideways, and also, yeah, I mean, also the trend is your friend is what I was trying to say. I mean, the trend is your friend. We had a nice washout, a nice pullback, bought back up pretty aggressively, pretty quickly. So if we get, I mean, realistically, if we put a number on it. Obviously, we've got this sort of level here. Get back above 4,000. I think the buyers will start flying back in. And I mean, the recent high, all-time high, is only 4,200, only $200. So once we see that four handle confirmed, on a 4-hour closure basis, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that acceleration potentially quite quickly and quite aggressively up to 5k, potentially coinciding with that acceleration just up to the only realistically next target that we have. So yeah, that could see that move. That could definitely see that move. So that would be my crystal ball guess. So yeah, all eyes on Ethereum, BTC pairing, also USD pairing. Let's have a look how those traditional markets are doing. Yeah, as you can see, had a bit of a pullback again, back to the 1.618. Off a 4-hour 9 as well. Previous weakness off a 4-hour 9. So yeah, all pretty textbook there. I think we were pretty much saying that stocks were looking like they wanted to come and test down a bit. Obviously, this is a more of a major target if we're going to test some serious downside. But I mean, clearly pulling back to this level off a 4-hour 9. All looks very orderly if the market is to turn around from here. DXY didn't really do much in that pullback in stocks. I mean, all it really did was like arrest its fall, stop falling down, basically, stop going down for a brief period. But I mean, clearly this is medium term and longer term bearish, so looking pretty dicey for any dollar bulls at the moment. 10-year had a bit of a move up as well. Obviously coinciding with a little bit of a stock market pullback. But is it the start of a larger pullback? We shall have to see. I wouldn't say so with the dollar looking this week. So that's all I would say for that. The trend here is down, and that's clearly going to have an upward bias on stock markets. Silver, yeah, popped its head above that trend line. But yeah, currently consolidating just below it actually. But like I said, this is not the most exact drawing of this line. Could be adjusted a bit, could be moved up a bit, could so I wouldn't necessarily look at exact. I'll just look at kind of we are attempting to break out the top of wherever it should be, and then obviously we've got some horizontals to hit there. Gold as well, pretty much holding up there as well. Wanting to make a decision. Looks like it's got a bit of a nosebleed at these dizzying heights for gold, and it's got to decide whether it can come push on or whether it's gonna come back down. Obviously with a bearish bias on the dollar, I have to have a bullish bias on these. Just potentially looking like a bit of a call off, both for crypto and for regular stock markets, traditional markets. Finally, yeah, Bitcoin dominance. Obviously having still a little bit more of a falter down here, with obviously the bigger moves in Bitcoin, bigger moves than we're used to in the short term. Obviously not necessarily big moves, but I mean this just look like it's gonna just consolidate around about here. Well, as it is doing, and then the most likely scenario is we come down to actually hit one of our horizontal targets before playing out a major bounce. But at any point, if the market does start to make any wild moves, this could start to basically turn back around, and at which point, if it does put in a low, it would then obviously the bottom side of this trend line would be the target. So depending on where that low came in, and obviously at what point in time we would start moving back towards, would have to play that in real time basically. But yeah, realistically though, we are in free fall, and there's nothing really to catch price action until we get down to these levels. So definitely more room to run to the downside there. So stochastics for Bitcoin were looking pretty good yesterday, so we're going to have to revisit those now after our I mean, we can call it a debacle. It is if we actually look at it from high to low, it is a 10% move, so nothing actually too significant in the context of Bitcoin. I mean, realistically, this move was about the same. This move up was about the same. This move down was about the same. This move up was about the same. This is literally just par for the course for Bitcoin moves. And then obviously, what could you expect now? Just a move potentially back up. I mean, we are in this short-term trend that we're looking at here. In this short term, we are looking at well, potentially in the ascending channel, but first and foremost, we're looking at a low, a high, low, and a high low, and a high, a high, a high, a high, a high, and very marginally just a higher high here. So if we do get back above, still do turn this trend around, do get back above 58.5k, we're expecting a higher high above this level, and that would be a psychological $60,000 level, and then we could see acceleration to the upside. In much the same way, we can potentially see an acceleration to the upside in Ethereum if we get back to $4,000. Obviously, $4,000 been significantly closer for price action for Ethereum than 58,500 is for Bitcoin at present. So potential room there obviously for Ethereum to accelerate whilst Bitcoin lags and then gets this pumped up to the next target level that we are looking at. So yeah, stochastics then, let's have a look at them. How are they looking? 4 hour having a nice pullback, so eventually if this just does turn back up, it's definitely going to have room to run and room to push that, to support that price action above 55,000 and get us moving back towards 58.5. So that would be good. 10 hour I suspect is on its way down at the moment. Yeah, 10 hour on its way down. So again, if this eventually turns back over, it could obviously help us. Maybe the 4 hour will feed through to the 10 hour. I'm struggling to talk with these temporary teeth in. 4 hour will potentially turn this 10 hour back up and get us supported at 55 and then move us back towards 58.5. 12 hour is turning down, but you can see relatively coiling up here. So yeah, we'll have to monitor that, but at the moment is in a downward posture as obviously we've had a move down. Daily has turned back down now as well. So daily not on our side, turning down from a relatively high level as well. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. 2-day also turned back down, but 3-day up, 5-day. Yeah, so overall the read for stochastics is again a mixed bag, but potentially can get support at this level and move up and turn them pointing to the bullish side. But I mean, overall, from what I've just looked at, that would potentially say that would give me still a slight downward bias. Obviously, stochastics are obviously momentum indicators, so when you have a move down, they're going to start to lean towards the downside, which is what they're doing. But obviously, we have horizontals, we have our levels we're looking at. We are in an overall macro bull trend, so there is obviously the ability for us to get support at this 55,000 level, start to move back up to 58.5, start to then obviously get that momentum back to the upside. At which point, if we do that, I would, and we do take out 58.5, I think we then will see a move back above 60 then, just that 60 handle itself, bring some excitement back into Bitcoin, and at least getting us playing within the 60k regions for a bit, before then a potential move up into the $70,000 regions, and potentially coming, lots of potentials there, potentially coming to test this upward sloping trend line here. So that is kind of what I am looking at here. Another video coming out today, not done one in a while, just on some Binance Smart Chain altcoins. So that will be coming out later on today, so watch out for that. Thank you for listening. Remember, this is not a financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I shall speak to you guys soon.